Tracking the human lineage back into the Middle Pleistocene reveals a period where distinct boundaries between ancient hominins and modern humans begin to blur. In 1907, workers in a freezing industrial sandpit in Mauer, Germany, unearthed a physical specimen that would challenge the existing rules of human evolution. Digging through heavy sediment, a worker spotted a bone jutting out from the rock face. It was a massive mandible, pulled from the earth on a routine industrial shift. This jawbone was physically immense and lacked a chin entirely. It was a heavy, archaic structure that appeared far too primitive for a human. Yet the teeth embedded within this bone were small, with delicate canines that resembled those of a modern human. The combination of a brutish bone structure and modern teeth created a paradox, leading researchers to classify this successful and widely distributed species as Homo heidelbergensis. Living across Africa and Eurasia, these populations survived the freezing, harsh climates of the Northern Hemisphere. Their bodies adapted to the cold through a stocky, barrel-shaped build. They were taller than older hominins, with thick leg bones designed for physical endurance in brutal environments. Their facial features included prominent, heavy brow ridges, but they also possessed vertical nasal openings, a trait found in modern humans. Beneath these thick skulls, the brain case was growing rapidly. Compared to earlier species, their cranial capacity showed a significant increase in volume. While their frames were built for Ice Age survival, their expanding brains supported increasingly modern cognitive capacities. These cognitive shifts are visible in how they managed their environment, particularly in the ancient marshlands where they hunted. Heidelbergensis were the first hominins to live as apex predators. Rather than scavenging, they actively hunted megafauna like the straight-tusked elephant. They utilized the landscape as a tool, coordinating in groups to herd massive animals into deep mud. Once the prey was trapped in the swamp, the group could attack from a position of safety. To avoid the risks of a pure meat diet, they maintained a sophisticated knowledge of plants. Excavations show they foraged over 200 species, including nuts and berries, to balance their nutritional intake. Their engineering skills produced refined Acheulean tools. These symmetrical hand axes were thinner, lighter, and more effective than any tools made by their ancestors. They also organized their labor. Instead of making tools at random, they carried raw materials to dedicated workspaces, factory floors established on large stone slabs. Their survival was no longer a matter of luck, but the result of coordinated mastery over the natural world. This mastery reached its height with the engineering of the Schoningen spears, the earliest known examples of complex wooden weaponry. These 2.5-meter javelins were balanced weight forward, with the center of gravity positioned exactly like a modern track and field javelin. This design allowed for accurate throwing from 35 meters away. For the first time, hunters could strike lethal blows from a distance, significantly lowering the mortality rate for the group. They also pioneered combinatorial technology by attaching stone points to wooden shafts. They used animal sinew and heated resin as binding agents to fuse different materials together. Executing this process requires abstract thought. A hunter must conceptualize a finished product that does not exist in nature and gather dissimilar parts to build it. This technological step indicates a level of abstract logic that characterizes modern human engineering. These complex behaviors raise a question of communication. Coordinating a large-scale hunt or teaching spear construction requires a shared language. Microscopic evidence on their teeth provides a look into how their brains were organized for communication. When cutting meat, they would hold the food in their teeth and pull, occasionally striking the enamel with a stone tool. The specific, consistent angle of these scratches across the species proves extreme right-handed dominance. Right-handedness is a marker of brain lateralization. In humans, a dominant left hemisphere is the location of the language processing centers. Combined with ear and throat bones tuned for human frequencies, this neural wiring suggests they were speaking to each other. Evidence of social complexity appears at the Terra Amata settlement in France, where they constructed seasonal shelters with rock foundations and branch roofs. They used vibrant red ochre for decoration and carved patterns into bone. Perforated fossils have been found that were likely threaded and worn as jewelry. The most profound evidence of their social structure lies at the bottom of a limestone shaft in Spain, the Pit of Bones. At the base of this shaft, researchers recovered the remains of 28 individuals who were placed there by their community. There are no marks from predators, and the location rules out accidental falls. This was a deliberate act of communal disposal. Establishing a designated place for the dead suggests the existence of grief, sentimentality, and a shared social identity. These populations did not simply disappear from the fossil record, they evolved in response to their environments. In the north, those facing the European ice ages continued to adapt to the extreme cold, eventually becoming the Neanderthals. The populations that remained in Africa faced different environmental pressures and evolved along a separate path. They were a people who built homes, wore jewelry, and planned for the future with engineered weaponry and spoken language. These populations represent the common ancestral link for everyone alive today, standing at the base of the lineage for both Neanderthals and modern humans.